Yoseo, all my beautiful people. How are you doing today? Welcome to the alternate point of view. My name is Tracy Lee. First, I want to say welcome to anyone who is new to this channel and welcome back to anyone who has been watching this channel. Thank you so much. We are slowly but surely getting some new subscribers and new viewers and new commenters. I usually am always going on my TikTok and pointing out the negative comments that I get on this channel because people are so easily so mean, especially on TikTok. They're like super mean. But on here, I've been getting like mean comments. But today I got a comment that was really nice. Thank you, Nicole. It was so sweet of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I just really appreciate it because I looked back at that video and was like, whoa, it looked really bad. But thank you so much. You're so, so sweet. Today we are going to talk about a case because I know a lot of people out there have kids, probably teenage kids. My kids are grown, but I remember what it was like to have a 16-year-old, and I could never imagine, even today, I could not imagine losing a child. So we are going to talk about Preston Lord. If you have not heard about this case, it happened last year in October 28th in Gilbert, Arizona. And this case is so sad in so many ways because, again, this is where we go into consequences and repercussions. So I want to talk about Preston because he was 16 years old. He was a basketball player. He was a good student. He was popular. He had a lot of friends. And he had a family that loved him, obviously. He just was a very sweet-looking young man, very good kid, and doing what normal teenagers do, and that is hanging out with his friends at a Halloween party that got pretty out of control. It was in a very small neighborhood, so small, in fact, there were only 5 houses in this neighborhood. And this house that threw the party had so many kids at this party. Apparently there were 2 different parties going on in this neighborhood. And I don't know how this neighborhood had this many kids in it, but there were apparently hundreds of kids in this neighborhood. So many kids, so many cars that the neighbors were calling 911 and were like, there's just too many people here. There's no way someone's not going to get hurt. They're driving up and down our driveways, our roads, and they're just like going crazy. They're screaming, they're shouting, there's going to be fights. It's just violent. It seems violent. It seems crazy. These kids are drinking. So obviously the neighbors were concerned. So they were calling 911. And of course the 911 operators are asking the typical questions. Well, is anyone injured? Have you seen any weapons? Do you see anyone fighting now? So they're seeing if this is, calls for a 911 call, or should they just be calling the police department? And the streets are so crowded that even if 911 or a cop or an ambulance needed to be called, it would be virtually impossible for them to get through this neighborhood. But there are obviously multiple fights that are going on in this neighborhood, but they can't tell who's fighting who and what's going on because it's just so crowded. Anyway, it turns out there are 2 different parties going on, right? 2 different high schools. There's Combs High School, which is where Preston goes to high school. That group is having a party. His friends are having a get-together. There is alcohol, obviously, involved. There are adults now, by the way, at the house that is having one of the parties. There is also a party from a school, ALA, from Gilbert, that is having a party as well. And if you don't know much about Arizona, which I don't know much about Arizona, my sister lives in Arizona and I have friends that live in Arizona. They live in Chandler, and Chandler is a very pricey area of Arizona. Gilbert is about 45 minutes, an hour outside of Phoenix. And it is also a very expensive area. So Arizona is up and coming, expensive area to live in. So lots of money in this area. So apparently these parties clash together at some point in time, obviously, because there's over 250 to 300 kids in this very small, tight neighborhood. And something happens, something triggers this group of guys towards Preston, who's 16. He's not a big guy. He's, a tall, lanky kind of kid. He's not, a football player sized kid. But this group of guys jump him and commence to beating him up, but not just beating him up, but they're trying to take what they want off of him, which is a gold chain. And in the seconds that it took for this to happen, they literally stepped on him, hit him with what one of the suspects calls an invisible hammer, kicks him in the head, kicks him in the back, leans over him, and they do some vulgar things to him. And they're yelling at him, calling him names. Then there's a final kick. There's, they beat him into unconsciousness. So I don't even want to say these guys' names because they're not worth it. But there are several suspects, about 7 of them. And they run away. They run away from the scene. And now this is all caught on video. Preston's friends are trying to break up this situation, but there's too many of these guys who are obviously much bigger than the rest of the group. And multiple people are calling 911 at this point, and they're trying to get people to help and assist. And luckily, there are lifeguards who know how to do CPR, and they're just kids as well, because everyone here at this party are just kids except for the adults that own the house. They are doing CPR, and they are on the phone with 911 as well, and they're telling them they're trying to get this kid to breathe, and they are doing CPR. And the girl on the phone is super calm, super duper calm with 911, and 911 is instructing her, don't stop CPR, don't stop. And she's even telling her, his pulse is 120. She's telling her all these things. She's very calm, teenage girl, very calm, helping with this to get Preston conscious, getting him breathing. They finally do get him breathing, thanks to their help. But she says, keep doing the CPR, the 911 operator. And it seems like forever, this call. It seems like it's taking forever. But Preston does eventually regain some breathing. He even starts to throw up. So they turn him, of course. They're trying to keep him from obviously choking on his own vomit, because he already is having issues trying to regain consciousness. But they are working on him until EMTs get there. EMTs take over. They get him to a hospital. Now, I don't even know how an ambulance or EMTs were able to get into this neighborhood, because, like I said, the neighborhood was full of kids. But I'm pretty sure after this fight happened, the kids dispersed pretty quickly. So they probably didn't want to be any part of this. But the police were able to track down as many witnesses and people as possible. And then, as kids do so very well, they told on themselves. So the guys that beat Preston, and literally beat him to death, because Preston, even though they were able to get him, these brave kids who were able to help him regain consciousness a little, barely, and get him to the EMTs and to the hospital, Preston ended up dying 2 days later, which is absolutely horrific. This poor 16-year-old who just is doing what teenagers do, right? They're just going to a party, they're hanging out. We all did it. You know, we all went to a party, we all hung out, we all got drunk when we were teenagers. We all did it. You know, this isn't anything new, but you don't go to a party and expect that you're going to get beaten to death to the point that you are not going to wake up and live. I mean, like, fights break out at parties all the time, right? But what these kids did to him was absolutely awful. And apparently, this group of guys are known as the Gilbert Goons. And apparently, there have been reports of them. This is what they do. They go around and they literally jump people all over town. Now, these guys are rich. Their parents are rich. Their parents are rich, and their parents made some moves after they found out that their kids were suspects, which was very quickly, because these kids went on Snapchat, Telegram, Discord, WhatsApp, Facebook, FaceTime, and communicated with each other, and then went to school and bragged about it. One of the kids was a football player, and he went to school and showed the other guys on the football team how he put a kid in a coma. And guess he just didn't know his own strength. He was just too strong. And then another kid said, hey, I think so-and-so is going to get charged with murder because he killed a kid at a party last night. Then another kid, I mean, they just kept telling on each other, telling on themselves to other people and spreading it around the school, and they were proud of it. They were like, you know, oh yeah, we put a kid in the ICU. Oh yeah, we killed a kid. Oh, we beat a kid to death. Like, who, what? Like, there is one thing for people who are just so sickening in this world that do the most appalling, sickening things, like a single person, like, that does stuff like that. But when you have mob mentality and you have a group of people that you can get to have the same mindset as you, and you can get and convince a group of people to do something that they think it's cool to go out and beat the crap out of people. And the thing is what's crazy is that Gilbert is a rich area. Okay. These people, these parents are rich. So these kids have been getting away with this for quite some time. There's been reports of a group of kids, a gang of kids going around beating the crap out of people, stealing from them, all kinds of things, right? And for some reason, after Preston, poor Preston, has died, now suddenly there's a spotlight on this gang that apparently the Gilbert Police Department, oh, we didn't know anything about this gang. We don't know what's going on. Who is the Gilbert Goons? Who are they? We've heard about a bunch of kids beating up a bunch of people, but we don't know about a gang. We didn't know we had a gang going on. Seriously? Are you that just really? I mean, it boggles the mind that in 2024, like, you don't put two and two together. I mean, what? And so not only that, but one of the kids, the kid that was bragging the most, his father sent his kid away to a cabin so he could heal his bruising, and took him out of school, and apparently bragged that he gives money, donates thousands of dollars to the school to keep him from getting in trouble. And he could get him out of anything, so he didn't have to worry about anything. And the crazy part is, so if they can prove that this group of kids is a gang, an actual gang, and that they are the group that has been going around beating up a bunch of people, and stealing from a bunch of people, that can add to the heaviness of the charges. So normally first degree murder comes with malice and forethought. Like they decided already ahead of time that they were going to go and actually they planned ahead of time to kill Preston Lord, which obviously they didn't plan to kill Preston Lord. They didn't even know who Preston Lord was. But because they held Preston Lord, now kidnapping is what they're charging them with, because they basically held Preston Lord against his will, were trying to steal the gold chain, the fake gold chain, by the way. It wasn't even real, okay? And they held him against his will. So they are now charging them with first degree murder because while in an act of another felony, he died. That is how they're doing the first degree. They're also charging them with second degree because in Arizona, they want to be sure that the jury has the option in case they don't see the first degree, because first degree also in Arizona can come with the death penalty. Arizona does have the death penalty. But because they're kids, they're teenagers, the jury may not see fit to give them the death penalty. They may not see fit to give them life in prison because they're teenagers. But due to the brutality of the crime, maybe the jury will see fit. Maybe they'll also see fit just based on the 1,100-page police report and all of the social media and all of the comments that they made after, all of the lack of remorse and the pride they took in what they did to this kid. The comments like they made, the main character in this says, you know, he's gonna, I put him in a closed casket funeral. What? That is absolutely horrendous. What is going on? Like, I mean, what is going on? Like, is this a 2020? Is this a kids? Is this a gen? What is it? What is this generation right now? Is this Gen Zs? I don't know. I don't know what they are. But what is happening right now? Because they literally have no understanding of what actual consequences and repercussions are. Like they do not understand that you don't get another life. You don't get another shot. This is it, people. So to say the things that they're saying is terrible. Like literally they're bragging about it. I just knocked this kid out cold. We have to go. That's what they're saying. They're saying things like this, like it's no big deal. Like they're grocery shopping. What? I don't understand. And the parents' actions afterwards. So I said this during the Crumbly trial, that that trial was going to set precedents for future parental supervision things that happen with their children. The Crumblies have been sentenced to prison. They've been charged, convicted, and sentenced because their son shot up the school in Oxford, Michigan. And they have been found liable for his behavior and actions. They've been charged with 4 counts each of involuntary manslaughter. So because of that, I knew that as soon as they charged the parents in that more parents are going to get charged with crimes because of their children. So going forward, if your child's in a drunken accident, DUI, you're going to get charged. If your child is in a fight and kills someone, you're going to get charged. If your child is in a mass shooting, you're going to get charged. If your child is, get ready, people, because not only is your child getting charged, you're going to get charged. These parents are getting charged, but because they're getting charged with obstruction of justice. And also mainly because they tried to buy their way out of the situation. And the craziest thing is these kids are out on bond. What? They're being charged with first degree murder. And they are out on bond. I can't, like, that does not compute. So, I mean, y'all, you make it make sense. Can you make it make sense? Because it does not make sense. Preston is gone. His parents have lost their child. They don't get bond. They're in prison because their child is gone. They don't get to, they don't have a life. Their child is gone. Preston is gone. And he died a horrific death. The details in the police report are absolutely disgusting. And I could not imagine. And I feel terrible. And I'm not even going to say their names because they are not worthy of that. They don't deserve to be mentioned. If you want to look up the Preston Lord case, feel free. But I don't want to say any of their names because I think they're disgusting, terrible, terrible people. And I think their parents should be held accountable because they created these monsters. And I just want to make sure everyone prays for Preston's family, prays for Preston's friends who had to witness this traumatic event, and pray that they don't get caught up in the coulda, woulda, shoulda, what could they have done? Because these are things that happen as they get older, and it's going to happen. Maybe we shouldn't have gone to the party. Maybe we shouldn't have drank. Maybe what if we could have fought the other guys off? What if, it's just so many things these guys are going to go through and think about. So I just, pray for them. Please pray for Preston's family. And please keep your kids safe. And please make sure your kids understand there are consequences and repercussions to their actions. And make sure you know who your kids are hanging around with, because that's something that's lost these days. Kids are hanging around with people and we don't know their parents. We don't know, people don't know that anymore. It's not a thing. Like when my son was growing up, I wouldn't let him go to other people's houses. I had a whole quiz. I was like, who are they? Where do they live? What do their parents do? What's their phone number? And he would get mad at me. He would be like, Mom, why do you need all this information? It's not like an interview. Oh, yes, it is, honey. Oh, yes, it is. So he would just give up because I was like, I need to know what kind of job they have. What do they do? Where do they live? What neighborhood do they live in? How long have they been here? How long have you known this person? I need to meet them. We need to have we need to have a meetup. I need to know who these people are. So he never got to go to sleepovers. Kids come to my house. He wasn't going to nobody else's house. I don't know these people. So things have changed. So please pray for Preston. I know his parents want his case to be highlighted, but I also know that they don't want these people to be highlighted. So I don't want to highlight these people, but I do want to highlight the lack of action on the part of the Gilbert Police Department, because they knew about this group and now they're trying to be like, I don't know. We didn't know. We got all these reports of these people being beat up, but so I feel like this could have been prevented. Every case that I cover, every single one of these things could have been prevented. Every single case is an unnecessary death. It is always unnecessary. It could have been prevented. It could have been stopped. Somebody could have stopped it, but no one did anything. Why? Because somebody dropped the ball somewhere. And Gilbert Police Department dropped the ball. Preston could be alive today if they had paid more attention and took it more seriously that these Gilbert Goons were going around acting like goons. So I thank you all so much for watching this show. And I thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, sharing. Please like, subscribe, and share. A lot of people watch this and they don't subscribe. I love the comments. Thank you so much for the comments. It helps me do better, and it helps me continue to be motivated to create this content. And I really appreciate it very much. And if you want to follow me on TikTok, I will get my TikTok information because I don't know it. But you can follow me on Facebook at Tracy Lee. You can follow me on Instagram at Half and Half 1974. I also have a podcast called I Grew Up a Griswold. At least that's what I tell myself. If you guys are interested in any mental health, trauma, opening up type stuff, that's what that podcast is about. And I also have I think that's it. I think that's all I got right now. Oh no, I have a Twitter at Racy0000. So follow me, email me if you like. You can email me at Racy0000@gmail.com. If you have anything you want to cover or hear about, a story, anything that interests you, please let me know. I'm down for it. I will look into it. And kamsahamnida.